applications there. If you remember, they're seeking variances from the zoning board, they're seeking a special use permit from the planning board, and our ultimate involvement, aside from the landmarking that has come up now, was to approve a special use permit. I don't believe that either of those applications have gone any further than the initial stages, and again, maybe Mr. Albello or someone on behalf of Grayson can confirm that based on this preliminary agreement, at least to preserve the facades, that those plans might change and that those variances or approvals might change as well.
Well, I haven't obviously analyzed it because we haven't put a new plan together and incorporated the facades. But I have spoken to the chairman of the zoning board, Mr. Jen Dewey, and we asked him to keep the matter off his agenda, which he has done. I met with him again yesterday and asked him to continue keeping it off his agenda while we were dealing with the city council. So that's already at our request been done. The rest of the other issues are merely, there's nothing else to do at this point. And we're offering a total forbearance on the part of the property. It's great. Not to do anything further with regard to any of the city to progress this project until it's resolved.
Is this the agreement, or does something else need to be drafted?
Well, I mean, that depends on how we want to make it. Mark Blanchard was in the meeting we had with the mayor prior to this meeting, where he also said that he would not issue any demolition permit or anything else should a request come. But we have the applicant saying that they're not going to submit that, and we have the mayor saying he's not going to authorize it. We have the public hearing.
But maybe we need to memorialize this. I mean, just
that could be done in an MOU or some sort of.
Also, I would like, I think Donna Ingram is here. She's still here?
Yes.
Donna, I'd like just a quick opine from Donna in regard to, this whole issue of facades and all.
Okay. Actually, before we get done, we have the council members who have some questions, including Councilmember.
I don't want to interrupt Donna, and I'd also like to hear from the applicants themselves. But I'm interrupting now because this goes to the 180-day issue. My concern, the year of good feelings is a wonderful thing, but our code, the sentence is unequivocal. In no event shall the moratorium go beyond 180 days. And as Mr. Del Bello pointed out, that's probably for the benefit of the property owner, so that the process can't be dragged out. But whoever it's intended to benefit, it is as unequivocal could be, and I'm therefore just, the mayor can say he wouldn't issue a demolition permit, and this property owner or another down the road can say, okay, now the fight's broken out, we think he's being arbitrary and we're taking him to court. I just don't see the enforceability of any of this. I don't want to discourage all the parties from getting together and resolving this, but I just don't see how we get around the fact that, other than a sort of gentleman's agreement, which isn't enforceable, I don't see how we get around the fact that the code is crystal clear, black and white, it's 180 days, in no event can it be extended.
So we don't have to extend the moratorium, we could have an MOU between the city and the applicant that would have the same effect.
Well, my other point is, to Councilman Anapi's concern, while I would love to see, incidentally, I'd still love to see the buildings landmarked in toto, but while I'd love to see a vote next Tuesday, the deadline is May 6th. So, arguably, we could call a special meeting if we had to. They have more than a week. I certainly think they should meet within the next week, but we're really talking about 3 weeks for whatever discussions are going to take place. But before we go running down that path, I think we need to hear from Donnie and from the applicants, because after all, it's their application.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Oh yeah, Don's coming, but just to say that we're the applicants, and that these aren't the only property owners. There are actually 6 other property owners, and not that I think, since they're all expressing support, but if someone dies tomorrow and their son takes over the building and decides they want to demolish it, who knows? So I'm just saying, we have to be well aware of that there are 13 buildings and Grayston owns 6 of them. There are 7 other buildings with other property owners, okay? Thanks.
vote, and I'm delighted to hear that there's a compromise, or that there's been a compromise offered. And I think that discussions should take place, but I'm encouraging you to vote. I think that if you vote to landmark this district, I think that we have good intentions here, and let the process do its work. Let the process be. Really, that's all I want to say. I'm encouraging you to vote. I think there's a good spirit happening here.
I actually feel very good about the spirit that's happening here. I mean, to some extent, I know Councilman Murtaugh wants to hear from the applicants. The applicants have done their job. They have brought this to the Landmarks Board. The Landmarks Board has recommended landmarking it. So, I mean, to a certain extent, especially if this thing were to be landmarked, you're now out of the picture. The Landmarks Board sort of takes over. I think the fact that the applicants and the Landmarks Board have agreed to meet within a week, and we can either vote this next week or the week after. And, you know, John and I may have been sparring a little bit this week, but the collective result of that has been that we've brought two parties to the table, and if it takes keeping the pressure on to have the meeting for next week, then let's do that, even though we might vote the following week. Yes, Mr. Murtaugh.
The reason I want to hear from the applicants is because, while I'm not dismissing what they're proposing is not what was applied for. What's before us to vote on is an application to landmark buildings, not landmark facades. So I don't want to suggest, well, now the owner and the landmarks board are going to run off hand in hand to work this all out when it's their original proposal. And I therefore would like to hear their response to.
Well, what I would say is this. Number one is if we landmark this property tomorrow, it would landmark the facade and the four walls. We talked about that. However, under the economic hardship decision that the board could make, they could then make any decision they want, including tearing down the whole building or keeping the
Which is
facades.
why I mean for landmarking the whole building.
Right, regardless of what the applicants say at that point, once it's approved by the board. We did have a discussion earlier about some potential tax benefits that might inure to you if the sequence of events we do the state registry and the local landmarking. Apparently there is no interest in that, so I'm not going to pursue that.
Why can't we hear, unless they don't want to speak, why can't we hear from the applicants?
That's
On what
fine.
they think?
It's a public meeting, that's dangerous.
I mean, I don't want to put them on the spot, but
Well, I think we do want to speak. We had a little, closing little speech we were going to give last time, but of course there wasn't time. It was after midnight.
only those.
No, I just wanted to correct something though, is that the fact that the four walls and roof are landmarked does not prevent any alterations from occurring. It doesn't have to be economic hardship. I'm just pointing that out. As long as the Landmarks Board issues a certificate of appropriateness, if they feel it's appropriate to knock out the back wall or to remove the roof, they can do that. It doesn't have to be based on economic hardship. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then,
Just clarify for me, in other words, what you're saying is if we landmark the district, and then the negotiations between the developer and landmarks board, they could then work out if it's just a facade or how they're going to.
exactly. I think Mr. McGloin pointed that out last meeting. And then I think there was I don't know. Do you want to take questions? I don't know what the process is here. I mean, we're happy to talk as much as you want us to, but we don't want to slow things down either.
This is Norfolk Sparrow, and